We've begun work on our steampunk game, hence the ridiculous brazing goggles that otherwise serve no real function. These things aren't very good. Anyway, a few quick words on steampunk as a genre in general before we start diving into specifics and what we're making for this game. First thing is the materials, especially with an escape game where people will be actually handling this stuff. You very quickly lose the ability to just use cast resin pieces or whatever as your materials, because as soon as you pick that up or handle it, it's obviously not wood or brass or copper. It becomes very obviously a painted piece of resin, and that's not very immersive. So as much as possible, and especially where people will be handling stuff, we're going to use real metal, real wood, and it's going to feel as well as look really cool. Number two is apparent function. Even if a specific piece of gears meshing don't actually work or do anything, they need to look like they might. Too often on kind of the cosplay, wacky, kind of like garage level of steampunk, really all you have is PVC pipes, spray painted gold, and then some random cogs that are kind of like hot glued to a top hat. We want to go beyond that. I do not want to for a moment knock the garage level of cosplayer who the only real thing they have to work with is like $3, some pocket lint, and love. I've seen some really incredible looking stuff done on no budget, but we're not the no budget amateurs. We are coming in as the professionals, so things have to kind of take it up a notch. So anytime we have gears or whatever, it's not just a random gear nailed to the wall that obviously connects to nothing. Why is that gear even there if it doesn't connect to anything? So if it doesn't actually do anything, it has to at least look like it might. So you can have a gear that's going to be kind of coming out from behind the rest of a wall that's doing something, and who knows what other clockwork is back there, but it's not just a lone gear. We don't just have like a random smokestack coming off of something for the steam power of, there's no boiler there. Why does a top hat have a smokestack? This is kind of the no padlocks in space. Everything has to at least have a possible thing it could do instead of just being a thing on the wall that it's just a thing on the wall. So on that front of the apparent function, steampunk is it's coming off of the Victorian and the Industrial Revolution, so everything is very mechanical, and when you get into more of the weird science kind of steampunk, you could bring kind of some of the ether science where you're doing seance-y stuff and you have crystals that can be doing something and resonating, but generally the steam part of steampunk is mechanical function, taken to an extent that actual boilers and that mechanical things in reality never quite got to. So that this is kind of the punk or the science fiction side of this, is that we can exaggerate what actually happens. This is where you have lots of Jules Verne, H.G. Wells stuff, where you have the Nautilus, which predated actual submarines, but in and of itself, given the technology it was supposed to be doing, it wouldn't have actually worked, but we're going to let it because it's cool. Going back to, or being edited back to the section where I was talking about materials. With the materials, actual brass, actual copper, actual wood, especially anywhere someone can touch it. That lends much more reality or plausible reality to the game. Like I said, especially when players can actually be interacting with this stuff. When you touch something, you know if it's resin or if it's actual metal. We got a lot of stuff from the client I mentioned in the last video, and this one is alternate reality, just outside of Houston, Texas. And I went down there a couple weeks ago to talk to them, do some initial brainstorming, and they also gave me a whole bunch of pieces that they had picked up that they wanted to use in this, some of which we're probably not going to use, but some really cool pieces we definitely are.